Okay, Donato, we are live. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Paul.
It's an interesting one having one of the owners of Messina, the most iconic gelato business in this country, on a podcast that's meant to be about protein primarily. But there's some interesting synergies when I look at it, some interesting similarities when I look at it, because sugar and meat are perhaps the most divisive consumables that there are in the marketplace at the moment. And I want to get your view on how you guys approach sugar and the whole health thing. But it's interesting, and I mentioned to you as we were walking up the stairs, that I've literally flown back from Cuba, having spent 10 days in Cuba. I flew in overnight and I befriended a guy over there who was 55 years of age. His standard diet is coffee, 15 cigars and 15 rums a day. And he was a very happy, healthy human being. And I had this conversation with him around, what is it about people in your environment that are typically consuming things that us in Western world would look at as potentially not being real good for you, and yet you seem to be really happy and healthy. And his response was, as I suggested, was they're not stressed. They have unbelievable relationships and community, and they're very active, and they don't eat a lot of processed foods. And it's probably a really good segue into, it's better to eat the bad things with the right attitude than it is to eat the good things all the time with a really bad attitude. But
Totally.
How do you guys approach it, man? From a marketing perspective in particular, sugar is the devil.
Sugar is the devil. Everyone said it. But of late, there's been a bit of a downturn. So it's no longer as evil as everyone thought it was.
Because meat's the most
Meat's
evil.
taken priority now. How we dealt with it, we really just kept going. There's not much we can do. We make ice cream.
Yeah.
You need sugar. We make a dessert. Everything in moderation is good. Our scoops are 100 grams. If you want one, you can have one. If you want two, have two. You want a 500 ml, it's your decision.
Yeah.
We make it a certain way purely for its flavor.
Yeah.
So we don't alter it. So that whole sugar thing, and it still goes, you see in the supermarkets now, they're releasing brands with X amount of calories in them. Again, it's not something we can do. For us, it's the company is always and still is built on quality. And we're not going to do something as a substitute that tastes shit.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about the ingredients, and it's all in moderation. Like, I'll have a scoop every day, regardless. I'll have more than a scoop every day.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
But you're not eating a tub every day.
No, I'm not eating a tub every day. For us, we're not a necessity. We're a luxury. So if you want a scoop, go in and grab a scoop.
Yeah.
But we're not going to change the recipe because some people want, I need X amount of calories in one day.
Yeah, get it.
So for us, it was just stay where we are. We didn't do much. We looked in alternate sugars and stuff, and we tried things, but it was never the same
Which are
taste.
far worse for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
So again, it comes down to moderation. And if you want one scoop, have one scoop.
Do you think it is? And a good friend of mine was in here the other day speaking with Anthony and I about marketing and different things. And they'd recently won the work to look after KFC. And when they first bid for their work, they started to look for these healthy angles because KFC had used Sally Fitzgibbon, the pro surfer, and different people to try and demystify that KFC, no matter how you dress it up at the end of the day, is pretty terrible stuff. And they finally did the research on it, is that people don't eat KFC because they think it's healthy. So let's not talk about it being healthy. And yet 50% of Australians eat KFC still.
There you go.
So they classify it as permissive, that people, when they eat KFC, don't care. They just want it to taste good.
It's literally that. For us, you could probably see, like, we post on Instagram every day, a special every day, and we don't make any props about it being, oh, this is sugar-free, this is low in fat. In fact, I think we go the other way. We've done flavors with duck fat caramel in it and, lashings of chocolate, all these things. For us, it spoils yourself. We all work so hard.
Yeah.
One little scoop at the end of a really tough day can just change that day.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds really stupid, but it's sort of the way, if I'm stressed, I'll have a scoop, and it's like, for me, it's like having a
glass of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit of comfort.
But it's back to that Cuban attitude, isn't it? Just, if you're going to do it, enjoy it and don't overdo it.
Exactly. And give yourself permission to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Permissive, man.
Yeah. It's there. If you don't want it, don't have it.
Get it. The history is quite colourful with Messina too, as most businesses that are founded by entrepreneurs and particularly people that come out of hospitality. For those that don't know it, talk us through when Nick originally, because he came from Adelaide, and set up in Darlinghurst, but talk us through in a nutshell where the business came from and how it's got to where it is today.
So Nick did start the business with another business partner back in 2002.
Not that long ago.
Yeah. So it's going on 17 years.
Oh, that is a long time. Yeah.
And the first store was Darlinghurst. They sold it off to someone, and then they had one massive production facility, and they basically made product for supermarkets. And it's still made to this day. But they started having falling out, and the two business partners, and the company, the Messina, was sold off to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
They had 7 stores at one point in 2002, 2003. I'm a bit shady on that part of the history. Then basically Nick went out on his own. This company fell. The company that bought Messina
went into administration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They owed the company that Nick and his business partner had quite a lot of money, and Nick basically was having problems at the time. He said, listen, just give me that one store, we'll call it quits, I'll walk away and we'll do this. And this was, I think, 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
So he took that over, worked it day and night. And then his brother, Danny, came in 2006, and basically Danny one day grabbed the scooper off Nick and said, just stay in the back, you can't serve.
Really?
He was
not good with the customer service?
Not good with the customer service. It's folklore for us that Nick was just told to put the scooper down, go in the back and stay there.
Do your business.
Do your business. You make the ice cream.
Yeah. What was Danny's background? Was he out of hospitality too?
Out of hospitality. So both Nick and Danny owned restaurants in Adelaide.
Yeah.
Danny at that point moved over with his family, a really young family at that point. He moved over. He was a personal trainer. And he gave up the personal training basically and started working the front of house at Darlow.
How perverse, going from personal training to selling ice cream.
But Danny with people is just out of this world. Amazing. Like he now in the company is just someone who talks to managers, and he basically gives hugs. And that's his role. His role is to be caring, and he does it so freaking well.
Chief of heart.
Yeah. And like, I'll seek guidance from him to this day. I'll
Incredible.
Close the door in his office. Give me 10 minutes. I need 10 minutes with you.
Big compliment.
Yeah, and that's what he is.
And were they co-partners, like equal partners, Danny and Nick?
Equal partners. They became equal partners. So that was 2006, let's say. Then in 2008, I started across the road. Well, in late 2006, I think 2007, I started across the road at a Tavla. Because I'm a chef by trade.
Chef, yeah.
Savoury chef by trade. So I started at Tavla, and Nick and Danny owned part of a Tavla at that point.
Interesting.
And I would go over to Nick and borrow things or just query him because I'd make my own ice cream in a Tavla, and he'd give me points and direction and go do this, do that. And then at one point, I think I made a flavour and I got him to try it, and he loved it, and he put it in as a special, which for me was a huge compliment.
Yeah.
So we got to talking a bit more, and then I do remember the day that I was sort of at the end of a Tavla, my time there, and Nick came in to use the fax so long ago.
You were at the end of wanting to work in a restaurant or wanting to be a chef per se?
So I was head chef, and then I demoted myself to sous chef.
Yeah. And
then it was just time for me to leave because the head chef had just run rings around me, and it was time to let the other people through, and I was sort of done in the kitchens for a bit.
Tired?
Just a bit tired.
Yeah.
As you know, what happens in kitchens. It's just,
of course.
This is 2008. If what was happening now in kitchens 10 years ago, I'd probably still be working in a kitchen.
Maybe, maybe not. We talked about this recently, that chefs are a little bit like athletes, that unless they're unbelievable insofar as their resilience are, that they really do have an end date on being on the pots and pans.
Yeah.
then they become more of the figureheads, the Neils and Matt Morans and those kinds of guys that become a brand in themselves. But being on the pots and pans seems to be just too exhausting.
It is. And I was the oldest in the kitchen at that point at 33.
Wow.
So, I mean,
it's crazy, isn't it, that you go into a career and by 33...
Yeah, it was like I was the old man of the kitchen.
Wow, that's
madness. Just thinking back now the chef that took over is still there and he's doing a cracking job, and they've got 4 restaurants now, or 5 restaurants, and now he's 33.
So Nick approached you to come across?
Well, it wasn't that. It was the conversation of, he asked me, do I know anyone who would want to come across? And I was like,
maybe.
Can we have a chat?
Yeah,
and that's how it started.
Opportunity knocks.
Yeah, I remember one Tuesday morning before the shop opened and before I had to start work, I went across the road and had a chat to Danny and Nick.
Yeah. And can I ask, because it seems to be public knowledge that you're a shareholder of Messina, was that part of the initial offer from Nick? He was just, if I'm going to bring someone that senior into the business, then I'm going to make them have skin in the game?
The initial offer? No.
No?
2 weeks later, yes.
Did you ask for it or did they offer?
He offered.
Smart guy.
Yeah. And then I think basically after 3 months, I left Tavla's and went to Messina at the start of November. And Nick left that up to me because Nick and Eugene were the owner of Tavla, best mates. Nick was best man at his wedding. And this was all done sort of behind Eugene's back.
Yeah.
And Nick actually asked me to go over and tell Eugene what we've been talking about.
And how did that go?
Euge was lovely as always, and he understood for my growth and for my well-being. He said, yeah, no, do it. And at least we're still in the fold. Yeah,
it's a little bit tricky, isn't it? Because we have people approach us regularly. Chefs approach us. Front of house people approach us that are tired of the hours and they still want to be in hospitality, and they see our business as an opportunity to work more normal hours, unless you're part of our production facility that work the most crazy hours of all. And some venues take it really badly. Others, a bit like seems what Eugene was, go, of course, everyone gets to a point where they need change, and we would much rather him leave on good terms. Exactly. So kudos to him, man.
Yeah, and for me, it was literally that. It was, like I said, we were still in the fold. We were across the road, and for months after, I was still working at a Tavla.
Yeah, wow.
So I do a couple of shifts.
How many shops did you have at that point?
One.
Just that?
Just Darlow.
Just Darlinghurst. But you were also selling to supermarkets or not?
No.
Just out of that one store?
So out of that one store, we're just doing one store. The supermarket thing was going off, unbeknownst to us, completely different company, no longer attached to us.
And how much, can I ask, was that one store doing revenue-wise?
I remember the early days we were doing Nick would freak out if we did 13K a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was...
Freak out good or freak out
bad?
Yeah.
It wasn't profitable, but there was 4 of us. 4 of us and a couple of part-timers. We had another full-timer on who now has moved on. He's got a couple of restaurants himself.
Yeah.
And he was a shareholder. But then he wanted to get into restaurants, so he did that. And he's got a couple of Thai restaurants. And then it was basically Nick, Danny, myself, Alex, who's my 2IC, and he basically runs the factory at Rosebery now. Together it was just basically us, and Nick and I would pasteurize, Alex would churn, Danny would serve. He had a couple of part-timers.
Yeah.
One of the part-timers was there when I started. He's now in Bondi, and he's the manager of Bondi.
Yeah, cool.
So he's been with us for literally decades.
Yeah.
So it's, it was a tight-knit sort of a thing, and we weren't that busy. It was just...
You're still doing $700,000 a year on those kind of numbers.
Yeah.
But what do you do from a store like that these days?
These days it goes up to the mills.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot better than what it was. For us, summer is great. Summer is absolutely fantastic. Summer is when we smile.
Yeah.
Winter,
What's the breakdown? Give us the 4 seasons in terms of percentages.
There's 2 seasons. There's hot and cold.
Yeah.
And that is it.
That's it.
And it's basically you drop 50% in winter. So 50% in winter, we break even. We have only 1 week last year we lost money. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
But we break even.
Yeah, that's because you obviously got a very flexible workforce too.
Yeah. And it's totally built on, a lot of the stores are built on a casual workforce.
Yeah.
So their times. You look for us, every manager is taught how to use the weather app, like a proper weather app, and you look and you sort of build your roster on the weather.
Weekly or monthly?
Weekly.
Yeah.
You have to. You can't predict a month out.
Yeah.
So weekly, you build your roster on the weather. You build your roster around events, Easter, Christmas, public holidays, all of that.
Yeah.
So these are things that, Danny used to do at the start and has instilled to every manager. So now it just goes forward like that. So that's the way it works.
Obviously, the quality is really high, but there are more gelato stores that, like, let's use Bondi as an example. Like, I can't remember how many stores have come and gone in Bondi over the years. What's been the big thing? Was it Nick's vision? Was it just good timing? Was it great marketing?
I think it was a lot of things. Now, there's one key factor that we haven't spoken about, which is Declan, who started our marketing.
Yeah,
so Declan,
and I want to talk a bunch about Declan. Yeah,
he came in 2010. So this was before. At the time, we got our second store, which was Star. Literally, I think all our ducks lined up at one point. I don't think we knew how busy we were until one day, Danny, Nick, and I, and our respective families went out for dinner, and we said, let's go past Darlow, grab a scoop. And there was a line that went all the way up to the Camperdown cellars there, and we freaked out. We're like, what the hell is going on here? What's going on? We ran in, and everyone's just looking at us like, this is every Saturday night.
Normal.
This is normal.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, okay then. Right.
So who's the numbers guy in the partnership then?
Nick.
Yeah.
Nick is the numbers guy.
Which is why he's not allowed to serve customers.
Yeah. But Nick has his fingers in every little pie. Like he's over the business. Like we call him the big cheese or Le Grand Fromage.
Yeah.
He is that guy. But I think it's initially his vision, and we sort of fell into place, and the four of us worked really well together. Yes, we don't see eye to eye all the time, but I think we all understand the purpose and where we want to go and what we want to do and our product. And I don't think that's ever moved. Like, we've all had our issues as you do. That we're four different people.
Yeah. All same heritage?
No. So Danny and Nick, the three of us are Italian, and Declan's half Australian, half Chinese.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So, and what's Declan's background? Like, where did he get his marketing pedigree? He's actually a trained physiotherapist. Then he was a DJ, so he still is, and still to this day DJs. And then I think he worked for Ministry of Sound and all these places, and he did events and festivals. So he did sounds festivals and all these things. So his marketing was marketing for his music festivals. Yeah.
And he brought a lot of acts over and did that sort of marketing. But he's just quick-witted. And I think I still remember some of the early posts that we used to do on Facebook, and they still make me laugh just thinking about them. But we're not as risque as we were back then as we are now, and we've copped a lot of flack for it. And unfortunately, he's the person that has to answer all the flack. You
copped a lot of flack because you've got a little bit more mundane, or
both? We get a lot of we're copping a lot of flack because we're a bit too out there.
Mm-hmm. And that's a compliment, though.
Yeah. And then, sometimes it's a compliment. Sometimes it's a bit rough.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
We did this one post that we copped so much flack. I like, if I say it now, it just will start again. Yeah.
Really? Let's start it again.
Nah.
No good?
I'd prefer not to. Otherwise, Deck's going to kill me.
Really? He'll love it, man. He's a DJ. He loves controversy.
So we did this one post, and that's when we realized that, okay, not every post can be like that. But
you got a very big audience, though, like 150,000 odd followers.
Yeah, something like that on Facebook, 180 on Instagram, something like, it's big followers.
What's the biggest platform for you? Well, like, it's a very visual product, so Instagram must be the most significant.
Instagram is, but what we post on Instagram is basically festivals and specials. So we've got 40 flavors in the cabinet, but we post 5 different flavors a week.
Yeah.
Now, those 5 specials make up 20% of what actually sells in the cabinet over a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of engagement. People do share, people do comment, people do tag. So there's
all organic, or do you do paid stuff too?
All organic.
No paid.
Oh, we did a little paid.
Yeah.
But very, like, through the social channels. Mm-hmm. That stuff I'm not 100% on. Declan and Shan's our brand and content manager.
Yeah.
Those two together, just dream team.
Yeah.
So they take care of all that sort of stuff, and it's, you know, they've got a great young team that can see it. Like some of my gags are dad gags. They don't work.
And they don't work. No good.
No.
Are they the only two platforms you use?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't use Twitter. No, we don't use Twitter. So.
Yeah. Well, it's again, it's such a visual product, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you may not be able to answer this. This may be a question for Declan, but do you start to think about things like Alexa because search is becoming so important, and the statistics around, and which is why it's great you're doing the podcast and things, that within 3 years, I think the last number was that 50% of all search will be done by audio.
I don't know if they do that, but search for them is a big thing.
Yeah.
Like it's little things that I know of that sort of stuff. For them, it's key.
Yeah.
Like it really is key.
And things like, and this may not be the term that you guys use, but the market day that you do at the factory at Rosebery, where you bring in different,
Messina Eats, yeah.
Yeah. What do you call them?
Messina Eats.
Messina Eats.
Yeah.
Is that a collaboration, or is it another part of your marketing strategy?
I think it's more a collaboration thing. For us, we've got this car park that as soon as we got that property, it was like car park, cool, barbecues. All these things. And then it was just Dec's idea to do that. And from the first one that we did with Hucksterburger back, this is going back probably 4 years now, was a huge success. So we never sort of went, we just did them. And we always tried to do something, and more for the neighborhood, I guess.
Yeah. So you just put on a barbecue.
That's it.
And you do it in collaboration with another business, whether it's synergistic or otherwise, and you just bring people together.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
And we basically, for most of the time, it's locals, and locals love it.
Yeah.
Locals love it.
And you timed it so right in that area too.
Yeah. Like that itself was, the timing of opening up there was by freak. We didn't even try. Like the how we got that site was ridiculous. Yeah, so.
Innovation gets used way too much. It's almost nauseating. Disruption, innovation, that everyone is an innovator. But you guys are bringing out, is it a flavour a day, a flavour a week?
No, a flavour a day.
A flavour a day. One, how are you attracting the talent to drive that kind of innovation in a form that actually not only sounds good but tastes good and doesn't kill somebody? And to the culture of actually being innovative as opposed to just talking about it.
So I think we do a flavour a day, but sometimes we bring back a lot of flavours. So we've got something like 4,000 flavours we've done. So we've done a heap. We try and bring a new one in, at least one every week, if not two. So a lot of the ones we bring back, and they're just fan favourites. To do that, we've got an amazing crew. Like we used to be able to turn things around really quick, and now we're a bit slower, but that's obviously because we've got like 19 stores now, and we've got to get it across 3 states, and there's a little planning involved and all these sort of things. So it's not as fast as it used to be, but we can still do it. We can still turn something around pretty quick. I think from the start, it was just the thing where we had to, when we opened our 3rd store, that's when we realized, all right, we've got to formalize these special things, because the special was, I'll make a batch. If I like it, I leave it in there. I'll make another one. If not, I'll take it out. So it was just a mishmash. So we had to go, all right, let's organize this. So now we can send the same flavor across 3 stores. This was 2011.
When you only had 3 stores?
Yeah. So we had to make sure that each store had the same flavor for the same period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be, we used to do 6 flavors, and then we cut it down to 5. And that's how it started, sort of streamlining it and making sure that every store got a new flavor. And then it was about, okay, how do we do this? And when we had 3 stores, again, it was 2 of us in the kitchen, and that's all we do. And we had a cake crew of about 3 people. And not much has changed. We've got a few more people, but yeah, so that came across from, I think I just wanted to create a new flavor every week. Some were absolutely shit house.
What's the worst one you've ever done?
Oh, fuck. There's too many to name. I've done I tried to do a balsamic gelato once. That was absolute crap.
That does sound horrible, man.
Yeah, it literally went in the cabinet, tasted it, took it out. What else? Bloody Mary. and that was shit.
That sounds all right.
Like
although tomato.
Yeah, we've done some flavors that some flavors we do for shock and awe, but we make sure they always taste good.
Do you do any alcoholic ones?
We do a heap of alcoholic ones. Yeah.
What's the best selling?
The best selling, we've got one that's called Hello Sailor, which is pink grapefruit and Aperol.
Really?
So it's a sorbet.
That'd do great during Mardi Gras.
Yeah. Well, it generally pops up during Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
But that was one of the original sorbets. We've done like lychee martini, tequila and lime.
Yeah, beautiful.
A lot of there's alcoholic flavors. We do them.
And do you have to police that then when people are buying, or it's so low?
It's so low.
It's just
you really can't take the alcohol's there, but it's like
drinking kombucha.
Yeah, on 14 kilos, let's say you put 100 grams. So
got it.
Literally
it
like
really
wave the bottle over the top.
Yeah, understand.
So
the interesting thing that I read about. How many chefs have you got working for you now?
Chefs, there's about 35.
35 chefs. So one, it's not that hard finding chefs that are burnt out from working in restaurants. So it kind of makes sense that doing something different. But for some chefs, I would imagine going to work for an ice cream factory may feel like a little bit of a demotion, but this novel concept of actually baking into their work week a dedicated amount of hours, 5 to 7 or whatever the number was, where they're actually incentivized to be creative and innovative. Who came up with that idea, and how do you actually make sure that is actually part of their business practice?
Well, we try to make it as much as part of their business practice as we try, a working week as we can. Sometimes we're just busy and flat out, and it doesn't get that way. But for me, it's also just about a work-life relationship. So for us, my guys do 4 days a week. They complete their 40 hours in 4 days. So some crew have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and some crew have Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday off. A 10-hour shift in the kitchen.
You're going to have like a lot of calls from chefs, man.
A 10-hour shift in the kitchen is that.
Yeah.
It absolutely flies. They get in, they start at 7 o'clock, lunch is served at 12, you get your coffee break at 10, and then next thing you know, after lunch, you're literally cleaning up, packing down.
Yeah.
And you're sort of out by 5, 6. We have an amazing crew that just push when they need to push and relax at other times. And there's never any pushback.
How do you recruit for that, though, Donato? Like, how do you make sure? Because culture, again, it's a buzzword, but culture is so important, and it's really easy to get that wrong. Like, chefs are a classic example and I've got a bunch of friends that are chefs, but some of them, and we've had them here, where on paper they look terrific, but culturally they just didn't work out and we had to let them go. Do you have multiple points during the interview process where they have to meet with staff or meet with the owners, or is it just more by intuition?
I think it's more by intuition, and the fortunate thing is I've had chefs that have been with us for, I think the longest one has been like 7 years. So I've got one guy who came on as a churner, just someone who churned the ice cream. He's due for long service. So
10 years of
working with us.
Incredible.
Yeah. He's had 2 kids. He got married in the meantime. He's had 2 kids. He's bought a house, and he still works for us.
That's so cool. You talk about that, though, creating a really, truly amazing workplace. Again, it sounds great, but what are some of the things that you do, that you objectively do and keep yourself honest to make sure that it really is that workplace?
I think the one thing that we do is we pay them.
Yeah.
And it's not that, like, if I got paid for every freaking hour I worked when I was an apprentice, I would be absolutely minted by now.
Yeah.
I remember early days, my first paycheck as an apprentice, I did a 72-hour week and I got $176.
Yeah. So just fair pay for hours work. Yeah.
You get that. That's key.
4 days a week is
4 days a week.
Yep.
All overtime is paid. Everything is done. Every hour you work, you get paid. Full stop. There's no questions about it. Secondly, it's about providing it's almost saying, I don't want to use it as a keyword, but a safe environment where you can talk and say something, and if there's something that you're not happy with, you can come to me, or you can go to Alex, or you can go to Tom's our exec chef. You can go to them and talk to them.
Yeah.
Because each member of our team is key. We only have a very small team. And when one is down, the guys do feel
down.
it. Yeah, the guys do feel it. But the thing is, if you keep them fresh and feed them and just make it a fun place to work, we make sure that we've got music going all the time. We make sure that, breaks are taken when you need to take a break.
Yeah.
If someone's sick, you go home.
Yeah.
It's not that old school kitchen.
Yeah, get it.
And
what do you do with negativity? If you've got someone that's negative, do you quickly cut it, or do you?
Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to. But we're fortunate in that same thing that there's very little negativity because I think everybody is happy enough that they can turn someone and make them happy. People still show up. Everyone shows up to work on time, dressed, ready to go.
It's fucking Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, man. Like,
well, it's like how many times that phrase is being used, but it's
amazing though. You walk through it and it looks great. It smells great. It's colourful. You're selling ice cream. It's
at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're selling ice cream. We're not curing cancer.
Yes, yeah. Well, maybe you are. Maybe there's all those fun police out there should wise up and laugh a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, it'd be nice.
Your expansion plans. You've gone from that one store to 17.
Yeah, 17, 18.
Yeah, across 3 states. Anything international so far?
We did have one in China, and we closed that down quick smart. I don't think we were prepared for the market.
We've done that.
Yep.
Disastrous.
We had one in Las Vegas again. Yeah. We did it. We knew it wasn't the right fit, but we still did it.
Needed more alcohol in the
we were
ice cream.
We were 20 minutes from the strip, but if you know Vegas, 20 minutes from the strip, you're basically in the desert. Yeah. But that got packed down a couple of years back, and now looking for LA, possibly Asia. Yeah. Who knows? At the moment, it's...
Why is it because it's such a duplicatable business model that you look internationally, or is it because there is only so many places in Australia that you can expand to?
There's only so many places in Australia you can expand to.
Yeah.
I mean...
And get the returns that you require.
Sydney for us, like, we will get to the north, the other side of the bridge, we will get there one day.
That's the other.
Another
country, man.
No, but it's not for the want of not being there.
Yeah.
It's just
like Manly and those places just make absolute sense. Yeah,
totally. And for us, we've never gotten a site and gone. For us, we're not those people that have a map and gone, all right, we're going to open here. Here. People will approach Nick generally. Nick comes to the table going, what do you think of this site?
Yeah,
and it's either yay or nay. And if it's yep, all right, let's do it. Done. It's not a big.
And is it a very analytical approach to it? Like, obviously it has to stack up from a socioeconomic perspective, but in terms of your required return on investment, you guys are diligent around that?
Not really.
No?
Not really.
What about Nick?
No.
He's prepared to have a go.
We're all prepared to have a go.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, like, some stores are great, some stores aren't. And the good stores make up for those other stores. It's not like that they're, bleeding money. Yeah. It's just that it's not up to our sort of standard.
Is Darlinghurst still the standout? No.
Circular Quay for us is the standout.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Bondi.
Yeah.
Bondi is still a great store. Fitzroy in Melbourne is a great store.
Yeah. Does the Star do good?
Star does well.
Yeah.
Not great, but well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they do go there to
drink and gamble. For us, it's if there's something going on with the Lyric, we're great.
That makes sense.
If there isn't, we're normal.
And there's no exit strategy. This is
what you call a family business.
Family business amongst friends.
The family is working in the business now. Yeah. So the heir apparent, Ale or Alessandro, he's working in the kitchen at the moment. So he makes all our dulce de leche. He runs the chocolate section. He on his own makes the bulk product. No, not on his own. A very, very small crew. Yeah, makes a lot of product, and he's in the kitchen and he serves behind the counter. He does the classes. He works hard for a 21-year-old. He knows what he's getting into. Yeah, and he's chomping at the bit. Yeah, like he just wants to. He's the most mature 21-year-old I've ever met.
Good for him.
Yeah. So
you have some pretty exotic ingredients like that you source from all over the world. Talk us through some of the sexier ones.
So our pistachio is from Bronte in Sicily. I know every ice cream store says that they use those nuts. We actually use those nuts.
Mm-hmm.
For us, we talk to the supplier in Bronte who pick from around the area and gets milled there, and we put in our order, and every 3 months we get a container of, not just pistachio, mixed container, but we get the pistachio from Bronte. It's a beautiful green paste, so it's the pistachios have actually been roasted, then peeled. So you get a wonderful pistachio flavor, and pistachio isn't nutty. When you take the skin off, it's actually floral.
Yep.
So I'd say that the pistachio is for me, it's the sexiest of ingredients, as you put it. But then at the moment, we're getting hazelnuts from Corte Emilia. So the IGP, which means they're from the origin. So the varietal that we use is actually originates in northern Italy, in Piemonte. And we get that, and we get the paste, and you can taste that in our hazelnut, in our Gianduia Bianca, white chocolate hazelnut, in the hazelnut that we actually put in the gelato. So yeah, but we've got a sort of strategy for the next version of hazelnuts. We've got a hazelnut farm that.
I want to talk a bunch about your farm in a minute. Yeah.
So that we get, our vanilla is it's halala, so we just use that, and that's from Tonga, and it's hand pollinated and wonderful. And I get to go in August, so really looking forward to that.
Tonga's amazing.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country.
Yeah, so looking forward to that.
What's the split between domestic and imported ingredients? Just stab.
25% imported.
Okay.
The rest is local.
Yeah.
Because the rest that we've got is sugar, which Australia is great for. Milk, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
Cream. They're the
big challenges.
They're the big things that we use.
Are there any big challenges around scarce resources with your key ingredients? Like, have you ever been affected like we are at the moment with drought and
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. There's always an issue, especially when you're getting things from overseas. Well, the pistachios, for instance, they're picked every second year.
Wow. Interesting.
It's literally to give the trees extra strength to produce a better crop. They produce alternate years.
Yeah.
Rotational
farming. There's a novel idea, people.
And the Sicilians have been doing it for years.
Yeah.
So there's that. So some years it's great and it's bumper, and other years we don't have enough to go around, and we'll take that flavour out of the cabinet, which we have done on so many occasions. So there's that. I mean, with hazelnuts, and especially those hazelnuts, it depends on what the European market's doing. If some conglomerate decides to buy a whole heap of hazelnuts, then prices just go up.
Yeah.
The vanilla, we had massive vanilla. There was a cyclone that decimated all of the Tahitian vanilla farms.
Yeah.
So the price of vanillas went up huge amounts. Went up 100, 150%. And funnily enough, it's one of our biggest flavors. So
pricing, Donato, like there's that great article around you guys that you're able to increase pricing and keep your customers sweet. How do you actually, because it's a luxury item, as you say, and so you don't want to price it too low. But is there elasticity? Like, let's talk about Bondi as an example, where there's so many different gelato stores coming. Are people coming and they're far more focused on, they want the best quality, and therefore price is a bit of an afterthought versus it still is a key thing?
There's both sides of the coin. I think there are those people that just know, okay, we give quality, and unfortunately I don't have to pay for it. This is what I want. I'm going to pay for it. There are other people that, another price rise, bugger you, I'm not coming back. Unfortunately, it's, when you do talk about things like drought and farming and trying to get our own products into our product, it costs more. And all these little things affect the price. So, and
are you the most expensive in the market?
No, we're not.
Wow, interesting.
Because
that's the perception.
Mid-range. No, we actually hold about mid-range.
Yeah. Maybe you need to put prices up.
Every time there's a price rise, the four of us will get in a room and we just talk about it and we stress over it, and it never actually happens when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And Deck's the one who always has to put the word out there, and every year he does an evaluation of every ice cream store, what the price is, puts our prices down and goes, okay, this is what we're paying. This is this.
Yeah,
and we always evaluate. But no, we're not the most expensive.
Let's talk about the farms. Was the idea to buy the initial farm because you're doing well and that's what successful restaurateurs and hospitality people do? It was a hobby, or was it really to secure and vertically integrate?
I don't know. I don't think any of us would actually know why we bought the first farm. So the first farm was the hazelnut farm.
Mm-hmm. Which is where?
Seymour. So about an hour north of Melbourne.
Okay.
An hour and a half north of Melbourne. And the reason why we bought that is basically it was an established hazelnut farm.
Mm-hmm.
Had 1,000 trees on there. And the reason why we bought the hazelnut farm was because, again, like I mentioned, prices in Italy of hazelnuts were through the roof. And we thought there's got to be a way, there's got to be an Australian producer that makes hazelnuts, that grows hazelnuts that can supply us. So Nick put a call into the Australian Hazelnut Foundation. And we were going through about 10 tonne of hazelnut a year. And the guy laughed on the other end of the phone and said, Australia doesn't even produce that much.
Doesn't seem like a lot. Truckload.
No.
Or so, maybe it does. One truckload.
But hazelnut farming in Australia has always been a hobby
farm.
Hobby farming. Now Ferrero have moved in and they've got a farm in southwestern Victoria, New South Wales, that's got 1 million trees on it.
Yeah, wow.
And they're actually trying to grow the industry. But for us, it was hazelnut farm for sale. How amazing! Let's get it. It's worth investment. We can afford it. Yep. Let's do this. Let's do that. Okay, let's get it. It's already got trees that are fruiting. Amazing. We've just got to.
And did the business buy it, or did you partners buy it?
The business bought it.
The business bought it.
But when we got to the farm, we did the research after we bought the farm, and we realised the variety of nut on the farm was Innis, which is a beautiful nut on its own. But in gelato is the shittest nut you could possibly find.
Why is that?
Because the pellicle, the skin, just won't come off. And the pellicle gives it a bitter taste.
Yeah.
So when we roast our hazelnuts, we roast them and they're roasted and they're peeled. Otherwise, you do get quite a bitter taste on the gelato.
Yeah.
The pellicle won't come out, but the nut is actually huge, but they're a good eating nut. So we had 1,000 of those trees that were just useless. So our business partner who found the farm and was in property but then decided to get into farming and now manages all our farms, Steve, he had a grand plan for the farm. So he ripped out those trees. We kept them. We used them as a windbreak. And then Nick and I had the fun job of making gelato with different varieties of nuts. So we could determine what trees to plant. And that's what we did. So we got all these different varieties of nuts, ground them down, made pastes, made different gelatos and went, all right, let's do this one. And we got, 20% of this, 40% of this, another 40% of this, and let's see what that tastes like. And that's what we did. So we determined the 3 nuts that we decided to plant, and now we've got 5,000 trees on there. But
what are the nuts you've got?
So the nuts are Tonda Gentile dalle Lunghe, which is an Italian varietal.
Yeah.
Then we've got TBC and a Barcelona. Okay. So they're the 3 varieties of nuts. And we find that that's perfect for our blend.
And you don't use the hazelnuts, they're just a windbreak.
They're just a windbreak.
Yeah, wow. You can't sell them to someone else, Ferrero?
They won't take them either. They grow one variety. Ferrero just grow one variety, which is the Tonda Gentile.
Yeah, okay.
But we didn't know that hazelnuts don't produce nuts for 5 years. Once they've been in the ground for 5 years. So we've got another 3 years left before we'll get our first crop. Now, some of the trees, we did get a batch. We got 100 kilos of nuts this year, which was joyful for us. Absolutely joyful. So we shelled them, peeled them, roasted them, peeled them, and then we made a gelato. And it was basically 2 batches for the stores. That's it.
The whole season's crop.
The whole season's crop was literally 2 batches, which in some stores is 1 week's supply. Yeah, literally most stores it's 1 week's supply. And it was in one flavour. So we put it out there and we put it on Instagram and said, try it.
Limited edition.
Limited edition. Give us your feedback. And people loved it. And we when we tasted it, we went, all right, it's our first shot. It's not the best.
Bear with us.
But people actually loved it. And it was a great result. Yeah. Absolutely great result. So let's see what this year brings.
Maybe it's a bit like when we had Jerry Harvey on the show, and every time he invests directly in agriculture, he blows up tens of millions of dollars. Maybe you guys should just stick to making gelato and leave the agriculture to the big boys.
Believe me, we're thinking that now. But,
But the next, because you bought another farm, yeah?
Yeah. So then we bought.
If that wasn't enough, did you do any diligence on the next one? Or
No,
you just
nothing at all.
Just straight in again?
Straight in again.
There are going to be a bunch of farmers calling you guys too for sale. Chefs and farmers are all lining up for this.
This one, the only due diligence that we did was it needed water. We weren't going to buy water.
Yeah.
So it had to have a bore.
Super important, yeah.
So it's paid off now.
Was there an intention to buy a particular type of farm this time?
We did want a dairy. For Nick and I, it was always a dream, like early days. I'm talking one store dollar. It was always like, imagine we had a little farm,
so that we
cows,
could use our milk
and all of this. And he goes, it's like, I remember doing calculations years ago and Nick going, we need 200 cows and that's all we need for all our milk and all our cream. And this is
when
what
you
we
had
can,
one store.
When we had one store. And this is what we can do. And like, it was always a pipe dream, but of course it doesn't happen until it actually happens. So we ended up buying this farm. It was
Where's the dairy farm?
The dairy farm is in Namerka, so about 50 k's north of Shepparton, Central Victoria. So we bought the dairy farm, and we bought the farm and all.
Operating dairy farm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a running dairy farm. The farmer was moving to Tasmania.
Mm-hmm.
He took his herd with him, so we were just basically left with a dairy farm.
Yeah.
So we had to find a herd.
Yeah.
And just by sheer coincidence that the farmer in the adjoining property was selling his herd of, believe it or not, jerseys. Mm-hmm. It was pure kismet. It just happened. And of course, Steve, doing his due diligence, which he's great at, found this farmer who now is a contractor on our farm, like generations farmer, absolutely amazing guy, works with Steve. And they basically run the farm. And so we started off with 100 jerseys. Now we've got 400.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 2016. A lot of changes since. We also bought part of his land as well. So now we bought 200 acres, so now we've got 400.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically pasture fed. We don't use any grain. They're not fed any grain whatsoever, not even when they come up for milking.
Brilliant.
It's all grass pellets.
Yeah.
It was a slow wean. Like it was decisions that we made, whether they're right or wrong, whether people agree with them or disagree with them. These are things that we think are good. We don't want to push anything on any other farmers. We know how tough farmers have it. It's I did the article for paper about selling the milk to Victor Churchill a couple of weeks ago, and we got some lashback from farmers saying
we need to sell you, feed them grain. And,
how dare you say that we're doing a shit job? And I think the article was taken out of context, which was the article was, we're selling milk at $8 a litre. And it was, I had to justify where we're selling milk at $8 a litre, why it was getting sold at that price. And it's because of these reasons. It's not that we think other farmers are doing a shit job. In fact, most farmers in our neck of the woods think we're fucking idiots for doing what we do. Excuse the language.
No, it's not PG, man. It's all good.
So they think we're idiots.
Yeah.
They think we have lost the plot. Like they don't understand.
Because it's all about yield, or...
For us, I don't actually think they understand what we do with the product.
Yeah.
We don't sell it to other dairies. We pasteurize it on site.
Yeah.
And bring it up to us.
Yeah. So it's only pasteurized. It's not homogenized.
Only pasteurized, not homogenized.
And you use it in your gelato, and you also sell the milk through your stores and places like Victor Churchill and. Yeah. But what I don't quite understand why a farmer would be upset at what is a very I think pure and natural farming practice.
Well, it's some farmers see it as, this is what I've been doing, how dare you criticize what I do?
But you're not criticizing, you're just saying this is the way we do things. It's like when we had Pete Evans on the show.
Yeah.
And people get very upset when Pete says certain things, and he goes, but I'm not telling you what to do.
No, exactly.
I'm just telling you what I do.
Exactly.
Don't bite off my finger. Just look to where it's pointing.
And when you look online, and there's a heap of articles saying that one day milking is not good for the cows, and then there's a heap of articles saying that one day milking is amazing for the cows.
You can find research on every side of every ledger on the planet.
Exactly.
But without doubt, and I think anyone that doesn't agree with this to a large degree is kind of a little bit naive, that pasture-fed versus grain-fed is both scientifically and intuitively better for the quality of the product and the way that human beings assimilate it and digest it.
For us, we read that information as well, but whether someone wants to believe it or wants to adhere to it, it's their call.
Yeah, I get it.
And for us, that's the big thing. For like the once a day milking for us, it's purely because we want a particular flavor. Now, did that come at a cost? Totally.
Because most do twice, yeah?
Most do twice.
Yeah.
So they've got the morning and the afternoon milk.
Yeah.
We just do the morning milk. Now, the thing is, it took us 2 years to get to once a day. It's not like we decided on Monday morning, the morning we bought the farm, hey, these cows that are being milked for twice a day for 3 or 4 years, that we're going to change them to once a day. It's too much stress on the animal. So it's a slow progression to get it to once a day milk.
It's an interesting one, Donato, and we're in the middle of doing this for a bunch of our products. And I think we spoke about this when I came down to the factory last month, around getting some actual studies done comparing your product to another product and just saying, we're not saying anything, but let's actually look at what's happening. Like what, and we talked about this recently. I had a orthopedic surgeon on the show who's a big proponent of diet. And in fact, when people come to him needing knee replacements, he won't do the surgery until they've lost weight, and he puts them on a very, very paleo ketogenic diet. And he talked at length about what happens with the omega-3 and omega-6 balance in an animal when it's pasture-fed versus when it's grain-fed, to the degree where it can be completely pasture-fed and then it goes on to a grain-fed finishing program at a feedlot, and it goes from a perfect omega-3, 6 balance to an imperfect balance within that 150 to 270 days. And I think we need to get better. All of us need to get better at saying, you know what, you're absolutely right. You're entitled to your opinion, but let's start talking about facts. And we'll just put the facts up and go.
No, it's a lot of the time it's because people just don't understand the topic. Don't understand or aren't. It's like we'd all like to think that we're totally educated on a certain product and on a certain topic, and we're not.
And food seems to have more experts that are prepared to argue with people that have got 15 years, 20 years of scientific education and experience. Like I've never actually seen a topic that is so strongly opinionated and so divisive. And literally, we're living in an era where it's becoming so large, like Beyond Meat, which is the big alternative meat American business that floated on the NASDAQ last week and has a market capitalization of $3.7 billion after the first day of trading. This is how much hysteria is going around. And I get it. Like we've got some really big challenges in your industry and in ours, which go to human health, which go to the fair treatment of animals, that go to environmental. But again, people seem to have a very myopic view, and it's very black and white. Pasture fed's good, grain fed's bad, sugar's good, sugar's bad, meat's good, meat's bad. And I think everyone just needs to settle down a little bit and be a little bit more constructive and not look at things so myopically.
I agree with you 100%. For us, I guess you can. You've tasted the milk.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
What's it branded again?
It's branded Messina milk.
Messina milk. Yeah. No, it's delicious.
Yeah, and it's literally from the cow into the pasteurizer into a bottle. Now, we don't do anything to it. It's not a choice that we made. It's just we don't need to do anything to it. Of course, when we bring it to Sydney, we load it with sugar and we freeze it. We turn it into ice cream. But for us, it's about that quality of ingredient. We don't start with the crap product. And milk being the single biggest product we use. If that's not right, then nothing is.
Yeah.
So that's where it sort of starts for us, is that the milk needs to be. It's our hero.
Did you get instant feedback when you went to using your own milk versus before? Like it was that noticeable?
For us, it's noticeable. We're around the product every day. I'm sure people taste it and just go, yeah, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
I don't. But the first time that we actually made the gelato using,
it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we made it on the farm. We brought down a little batch freezer with us.
Yeah.
We cooked it on the stove. We completely fucked it. But we made it and you could taste it.
Yeah.
And then when we brought it to the factory and actually made it again and just went, holy Moses, this is great.
And I'm sure there's a placebo effect of that also. But the integrity and peace of mind knowing how that milk was produced, and you got happy cows, man.
That's it.
You know, the Sonoma cows of California, they're happy cows.
For us, it's key. They've got to be happy as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we make sure of that. We make sure of that. It's, it comes at a cost. Yes, we wear it.
Yeah.
But we're fortunate, unlike other farmers, that, you've got X price that you can sell it at farm gate.
Yeah.
We sell it to ourselves and then we use it in a product.
Yeah, get it.
That's sort of what's keeping us afloat. Otherwise, the milk costs us about $2.30 to make,
Incredible.
So
we're coming into winter. You guys get a little bit depressed, or you just batten down the hatches and...
Oh, no, we get depressed.
You get depressed?
Yeah, we get depressed.
Yeah.
We get depressed, we batten down the hatches, but the battening down of the hatches starts in March.
Yeah, wow.
Like you sort of go, all right, take every day and every week as it comes. This year has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Obviously this last week was the first week of a bit of cold that we felt, and we felt it immediately, instantly.
Have you ever thought about doing a winter product, a hot chocolate?
Stay tuned.
Really?
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
We have.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always have. We've always done something like that. Like in a couple of the stores, we've got coffee machines and things like that. But I think it's one of the things that we do with the product is having the flexibility with specials. Is in summer we offer you something a little fresher. In winter we go to the warmer flavors. Certain flavors will change spices. Yeah. So we increase the amount of spices, which give you a lot of warmth.
Yeah, cinnamons and all those kinds of things.
Yeah. So you tend to do that. You use a lot more caramels. You use a lot more chocolates. You sort of keep away from the fruits and do all of these sort of things. So it actually entices you to come in and go, oh yeah, I'll have a scoop of that.
Yeah.
So there's little things that you can actually do with the product, even though it is frozen. And then it's also the environment. You make sure the stores are warm. You make sure the heaters are on. You do all these things, and people do come. It's the rain that sort of
It doesn't go hand in hand, does it? Yeah.
But a cold night, little scoop. You've seen it many a time. Like I live close to Darlow, and if I'm walking the dog past, and you'll see him just huddled under the heaters and having a scoop. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, it's romantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And tell me, do you have brand ambassadors? Like, have you got people out there that are just so fanatical about Messina that
we do? We have a heap of I don't think they're brand ambassadors, but they do it
out of the goodness of their own stomachs.
It's amazing the customers we've got, the loyalty. It's people. Like for me, one of the things that I noticed was that when we moved out of Darlow and went to Rosebery, I thought all the old customers would drop off. And then I saw them appear at Rosebery. And there's customers that I remember serving at Darlow and having full conversations because you were bored. There were some days where it wasn't busy, so you chat to these customers. They still come in. They still come in. One of the biggest things was a girl who used to come in from the primary school ended up working for us. So, little stories like that are great. It's absolutely fantastic still that, a customer turns into an employee and like a child grows up with the product in their whole life and then ends up working for us, which is absolutely amazing.
We have a bunch of celebrities that obviously come to Victor Churchill, Oprah and Jimmy Barnes and Malcolm Turnbull. Have you got any secret celebrities that come in with the beanies and the glasses on? And
no, I remember back in the day, Leonardo DiCaprio came in when he was filming Great Gatsby. And apparently there was this rumor in some
Yeah.
shitty
He would have
fucking
just
parade.
liked the pretty girls behind the counter, though. It
No, at
wasn't
that
about-
stage, it was me and Daddy serving.
Really?
Very
No
pretty.
good.
And apparently at Star, he had such a habit for it that he built a $3,500 tab at Messina, and we wouldn't serve it. It was all bullshit. Like he
Classic.
came in,
The
but,
tabloids are onto it.
the early days, Hugo Weaving used to live in Darlinghurst.
Yeah, he did. I remember. Yeah.
and he'd come
Yeah.
in, and Baz Luhrmann and all these people that used to live in Darlow would come in, and it
Yeah.
was like you see these people and you're like,
Classic.
so,
They all love the
yeah,
sweet stuff.
we do, and you still get people coming in. I mean, when Kelly Rowland was here, she went into Bondi, and it's just little things like that still make you think, oh,
It's iconic, man.
yeah,
It's iconic.
It's pretty cool.
Where do you think the next overseas store will be that you're going to have a crack? LA?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We're heading over in a couple of months to nail down a site.
It's interesting. I was there on the way back yesterday, and the hotel we stay at, this gorgeous little boutique hotel in West Hollywood called Petit Hermitage. And it's quaint, like it's French provincial. And I was thinking of you guys because I'd come from Cuba, which is so dirt poor, and we're just sitting there in the afternoon because they got a rooftop bar and pool and things, and just talking, and asked for sparkling mineral water. And they brought out a water sommelier. And I thought, this is custom built for Messina. Any city that has a water sommelier,
We could be having ice cream.
you can be having an ice cream sommelier.
Yeah, no, we LA is next on the cards. We did have a site locked in, but that fell through. Like it was literally just about to sign in downtown. And that, like I said, that fell through, but the plans were there, and we plan to open it in a big way.
Yeah.
Like the first place that we open will be a temple to gelato. And I mean, it's huge. Ice cream is big in the US.
Of course.
And especially in LA, there's all these stores are popping up. And, some are mum and pop, some are franchised. But I think what we have to offer is very different to what they have to offer. And, whether it translates there, who knows?
Exciting,
Don't know,
man.
but until you give it a shot, who knows?
It's a great story, Leonardo. Thank you for sharing it, man. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks,
Thanks, buddy.